Things are gonna get crazy!
Most everyone's mad here.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to a new episode of AniMat's Crazy Cartoon Cast. How are you all doing, everybody? I hope you're all having a great time, and I hope you're all having a nice day whenever you're watching or listening to this. And I hope you all had a nice weekend, especially when right now, as I am recording this, we are technically in a holiday, or at least for those of us who are in North America. If you are a fellow Canadian like I am, then may I just say happy Thanksgiving, and I hope you are all stuffed up with turkey and all that kind of food. I know I certainly was yesterday. I actually went out to Ottawa just to have a little family reunion, and we had our Thanksgiving there. But also, for those of you who are in the US, then may I just say, Happy Indigenous Peoples Day. Now, I know some may say that technically there is another holiday that is going on here, but let's be honest, that other holiday is kind of racist, which is why it is much better to go and celebrate Indigenous Peoples Day, considering that it is worth to have something to go and remind us about who the OG Americans are. Who is it that was here in the first place since the dawn of time? And also a good reminder that when it comes to the Americas, they are not white countries and they are not Christian countries. Who America really belongs to are the natives, the indigenous people, the people who have been here ever since the dawn of time, but then unfortunately, of course, who are considered the villains of the great majority of history. White colonizers would have to step in and really ruin everything. And it also serves as a reminder of the very unfortunate treatment that indigenous people have gotten and have still are still getting today. So this is just a little bit of a reminder and to show support to the indigenous people and to indigenous communities out there, and that hopefully things can go better for them so that they can achieve basic human rights, because there are still many of those groups who are treated extremely poorly. So this is another factor of human rights that needs to be addressed and unfortunately gets often overlooked. So that's why I just want to go and make a statement about Indigenous Peoples Day and to go and honor the legacy of Indigenous people, and that hopefully we as a society can do better to go and help these communities not only thrive, but also be a part of our society at the very least, or at least, or if nothing else, give them the respect that they deserve. All right, so with all that said and done, we are here to get into a very interesting episode, considering that, in a way, there will be a lot of tech talk going on, but not the usual tech talk that you may expect. No, a lot of this actually has to do with Disney's technology, both in terms of what they present in movies and in the theme parks as well. And I can guarantee you we are going to have a great time with what we are about to discuss. So I hope you are all prepared. And speaking of which, actually, I'm now going to go and pass this on to the chat wall. And I'd like to ask you all, are you ready for today's episode of AniMat's Crazy Cartoon Cast? Let me hear it, folks. Who is ready? All right, let's see now. Yes, people are ready. People are prepared. That is great to see. All right. So, with that said, now that everybody is ready, and yes, of course, also can't forget about what happened recently with the passing of Diane Keaton. May she rest in peace. Definitely a great actress there. And now, with all that said, it is now time that we shall go and get things started. And with our first story that we're about to get into, let's go and quickly look into what has been happening at the New York Comic-Con. Now, just like with the San Diego Comic-Con, this is one of the major conventions in which major companies step in to go and make huge announcements of what they have coming up in terms of pop culture. So, of course, we would get a whole lot of release dates that are revealed in terms of what's going to be coming later this year and also what's going to be coming in next year. We also got some reveals in terms of who's going to be in the cast of which project, rather it be stuff from like Marvel or DC or what have you. And of course, we got a whole bunch of different little trailers that happen here or there. A few full trailers, but a whole bunch that are just small trailers. But the one that we are about to look into is going to be a very fascinating project, and I'm sure some of you will end up watching this, maybe not intentionally, considering that this is going to be in front of a different movie. So yes, this is actually a trailer for an animated short. And by the way, bear with me, folks, because this one actually has a pretty long title. So, without further ado, let's go ahead and check out the trailer for the upcoming animated short, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Chrome Alone 2, Lost in New Jersey.
It's the holidays.
Hey, does anyone know what they're getting Splinter?
I made him this mug. Oh my god.
And that is Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Chrome Alone 2 Lost in New Jersey, to which it will be coming out in theaters on December 19th in front of the SpongeBob movie, The Search for SquarePants. So, in a way, this is kind of like a little holiday special based on Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Mutant Mayhem. And of course, with the title that you would go and expect, maybe this is going to be a little bit of a pun, or like this will be a little bit of a spoof to Home Alone 2 Lost in New York. But no, when you do check out this trailer, it actually does show that there is a clear narrative, and not only that, but a clear commentary on what it wants to go and discuss. Like, one thing I just want to go and get this out of the way. I actually very much enjoyed this trailer, and a big part of it is because we get to see these turtles again, not just seeing the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles in general, but especially the Mutant Mayhem Turtles, because that was one of the things that I enjoyed the most when watching that version, is to go and see, as much as like the animation and the action is a lot of fun, but what's especially enjoyable is to go and check out the turtles just being their teenage selves. It like really emphasizing the teenager aspect of Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles and all hanging out with each other. Like often like they can be cringy, but they're just having a lot of fun, just experiencing life and trying to learn more about themselves and learning about the world around them. That I honestly really appreciate. And you do get a little bit of that when you do see this trailer, like especially in the beginning, you see them all hanging out together. They're all just, they're all just talking amongst themselves and trying to figure out what to do for Christmas. And even like the little joke of like Mikey trying to make a custom Splinter mug that just looks hideous. Like that is a lot of fun. And not to mention also, speaking of the whole Christmas thing, this is one thing that I really do like what they have done in this trailer in particular, is actually the design of the turtles, what they did. Because usually with the turtles, like when you see them, the best way to go and distinct who they are, or to recognize like which individual turtles, like which ones who they are, is by their mask. And they each have a different colored mask to tell like who is Raph, who is Dawn, who is Leo, and who is Mikey. But in here, all of them don't have their masks, and instead their color coordinations is actually from what they're wearing. Like, you got Mikey, who is like all in orange with an orange toque and an ugly Christmas sweater. You got Dawn, who's wearing a purple jacket. You got Mikey, who has a red toque, and you also have Dawn here, who only has earmuffs, but they're in blue. That, I will say, is actually pretty cool, really clever, and honestly, like, it's great to see that sort of creativity be implemented with this new version of TMNT, and it's just another fun example of how visually it is among the strongest of what we have gotten so far with Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. But the thing that really does stand out is actually in terms of the commentary. And you do get a little bit of a hint with Leo over here. Or no, wait, wait, hold on. I just realized something. Am I mistaking Leonardo with Donatello? I just want to go and Raph and Leo, or maybe actually. I don't know. I think I just realized now that as I was talking, I might have mixed up my turtles, because I know Raph is the red. I know Raph is the red one. I know Mikey's the orange one. But am I mixing up Leo and Donatello? Like, wait, yeah, Leo is blue. Okay, I don't know. I'm trying to make sure. Like, beforehand, I just want to go and make sure I get my turtles correct, actually. Like, oh crap, I might have mixed up there. Okay, I do apologize if I did screw up, but yes. Okay, so Donatello is the one with the glasses and is purple, and Leo is the one who's all in blue. Okay, I gotcha. I understand now. Okay, I think we've got that all settled here. All right, but anyways, as I was saying, one thing that is very interesting, and like, you do get a little bit of a clue, it's with Donatello. He actually initiated the commentary of what is going on, and it's actually right over here where I paused it.
Give him that.
Here, I'll just ask ChatGPT. What does a rat dad want? Huh. Laser hair removal.
Yeah, good one, ChatGPT.
All right, don't blame.
Okay, so as you can tell, and I know some people might be a bit upset and it feels a bit scandalous, but yes, it turns out that Dawn does use ChatGPT. But then things get a little bit extra when they see the fact that now there are some ripoffs of them in which they notice that a toy store is selling tubular tortoise karate warriors. And what is even more fascinating, like we see the commercial with all the different turtles, but especially is right at the end to see who actually created these tortoises. And it's right over here by Authentic Imitations Toy Company, which are set in New Jersey. Now, I'm not pointing out that this is actually a real company. That's not actually the case. No, it's actually their initials here. They're being pretty obvious with whom the turtles themselves have to go and fight against. And that is AI. So basically, this entire animated short, or at least what it's hinting here on this trailer, is that this is going to be a commentary against AI. And essentially criticizing the way that they're pretty much taking anything and everything and just turning them into like cheap looking imitators. And by the way, just a quick side note, I want to go and add that when it comes to these weird looking tortoises, including Mark over here, who looks like he's got a squished head, like you see that the commercial that they presented, it's actually real kids playing with real toys. And funny enough, I actually saw a video of Andre the Black Nerd. He actually presented that these are actual toys that you could go and buy, that apparently they come in a set where you can actually buy the real turtles, where you could buy like how they're going to look like in Chrome Alone 2 Lost in New Jersey. And you can also get another action figure of the tortoise knockoffs that you have here. Like each, like, especially with these ugly looking things that they have. But the point that I want to go and make is that obviously they want to go and present how AI, of course, is a bad thing, and it's especially troublesome when they would go and copy intellectual properties, or even worse, that they would go and generate images or generate things that are based off of real people. Then that's the point where, like, things get very problematic with the technology, as we have seen in the past few years with the way that AI has been very troublesome with the way that people would go and use it. So honestly, that has already got me hooked. And I'm just going to say, overall, I really did enjoy the trailer that they have presented here. And honestly, this might be a little bit of a hot take, but so far, and I mean, maybe my opinion is going to change by the time that we do see the trailer of the movie itself, but I think I might be more interested in checking out the short, more so than the SpongeBob movie that it is connected with. Because number one, it's the return of Mutant Mayhem, and I really enjoyed Mutant Mayhem. So seeing that, seeing like a continuation of that, even if it is a short, that's going to be a lot of fun, especially like that we're getting a holiday theme that's going to be coming out during the holidays. And also seeing that additional commentary about AI, it's going to be a lot of fun to see. It's always great to see how animation would go and knock AI and stuff like that. But this is going to be interesting to see how they're going to be doing it in such a grand scale that we're literally going to see on the big screen the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles slamming on AI. So that's going to be a lot of fun. And honestly, I think I might be pretty hyped for this one. I'm not going to say I'm like Zootopia 2 levels of hype, but I am like, honestly, I am optimistic to see what's going to be in store with this short. And if you are interested in checking out Chrome Alone 2 Lost in New Jersey, then all you have to do is wait until December 19th when it's going to be coming out in theaters alongside the SpongeBob movie, The Search for SquarePants. And with that said, now I would like to pass this on to the chat wall, and I'd like to ask you all, what did you all think about the trailer of Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Chrome Alone 2 Lost in New Jersey? Did you guys enjoy this trailer? Are you not a fan of it? Or especially if you love Mutant Mayhem, I would love to know your thoughts on it. And also, why don't we go and do something interesting? I got a very clever idea of what we can do for a poll here. So I just want to go and write to you all. Which one are you the most excited for? So I'll write down TMNT Chrome Alone 2 or the SpongeBob movie. Whoops, sorry, I wrote the Sponge Bib. Hold on a sec. There we go, the SpongeBob movie, well, technically the SpongeBob movie 4. All right, so as the poll is going on, let's see what the chat wall has to say. All right. This trailer definitely impressed me. Mutant Mayhem was a really fun movie and easily the best TMNT movie in a long time. And this short looks fun visually. It's as good as the movie. The turtles are still fun, and I like the idea that it's going against AI. So I'm definitely looking forward to this, and honestly, I agree, and I feel like this could be better than The Search for SquarePants, because so far, I'm not impressed with that movie. All right, fair enough. Let's see what other comment. Just want to go and see here. Oh, okay, interesting. Let's see. One thing you forgot to bring up is that this is being a Turtles Christmas short. They actually went as far as to reference the 90s Christmas special, We Wish You a Turtles Christmas. In fact, if you go at the end of the trailer to the logo, you can hear the instrumental of Gotta Get a Gift for Splinter. Oh my god, is that true? Like, I remember that, but like, honestly, I haven't seen the thing. Like, the most that I did is that I saw the angry video game nerd review it, I think along with the Nostalgia Critic, but like that was like years ago though. Hold on, I just want to go and take a moment to get back into that. I just want to like actually hear a little bit if that actually is true.
Going to Jersey.
Okay, you know what? I can hear it. I mean, it's a little bit, but I think I can hear it just a tad bit. It's like, it's vague, but like you can hear a little bit like, gotta get a gift, gotta get a gift, gotta get a gift, gotta get a gift, gotta get a gift for Splinter. Like you can hear that. Okay. I see what they're doing here. Oh my god. I hope they actually do more references to Turtles Christmas. Oh my god. Because like before the days of AI, that thing looked like an absolute TMNT knockoff. Okay, yeah, thank you, Ryan, for pointing that out there. All right, let's see now. This might be a fun short. I'll probably only go and see the new SpongeBob movie depending on if word of mouth is good, but as I did really enjoy TMNT Mutant Mayhem, this could be some decent fun and definitely a better movie short than the SpongeBob short in front of Smurfs that was literally made a decade prior and taken out of the vault just as a desperate attempt to get people to see that film. Oh my god, you know what? I completely forgot about that. You know, I thought you were going to go and reference the Big Nate short that was in front of Paws of Fury, and oh my god, that was like such a trippy experience. But no, that is true. I forgot that there was a SpongeBob short that aired before the Smurfs. Like somehow that completely like escaped my mind. And I mean like that, like honestly, that SpongeBob short was just not like so easily forgettable, but in a way it is still better than the Smurfs movie that followed afterwards. Like, oh my goodness. Like, I kind of freaked out. I was like, oh yeah, that was a thing, wasn't it? All right, but anyways, I just want to go and mention that surprisingly enough, in the poll that I have made here, most of you are actually more excited for the Turtles, in which 77% of you who have voted have said that you are more excited for Chrome Alone 2 than you are for the SpongeBob movie. So very interesting. Already it's looking great for the Turtles, but still not looking great for SpongeBob. That trailer needs to be as impressive as what we have just seen here. All right, anyways, I'm glad Nickelodeon is stepping up their theatrical short film game after Order Up, because this looks hilarious. The jokes are still really strong, especially the fake commercial. The call out of AI caught me off guard, and I love that they have the balls to reference "We Wish You a Turtles Christmas" with the music at the end. This is going to make the search for SquarePants worth it. Dare I say it, this could be the hair love to SpongeBob's Angry Birds. Oh, dang. That could be a very good point. That would be amazing, actually, because keep in mind, like, I love Hair Love. It's one of my favorite animated shorts that has come out in recent years, and dare I say it, still probably one of, if not the best thing to ever come out of Sony Pictures Animation, maybe even more than the Spider-Verse films. So if Chrome Alone 2 can get on that freaking level, oh my god, I think we might be in for something phenomenal. All right, I think we'll have time for 2 more comments here. Let's see what we got. Just to say, very anticipating. The movie was the first point of me becoming a fan, or at least this version. I even checked out the series, and it can be almost as good as the film. Which, by the way, that was also another thing that was actually revealed at New York Comic Con. There is going to be a season 2 of the Mutant Mayhem series that's going to be coming out, I believe, on Paramount Plus. I don't know if it's also Nickelodeon, but for sure, like, it'll be on Paramount Plus that season 2 will be coming. Anyways, I'll say this for this short. I don't see what the flaws are about it, and very humorous of what they say to AI. And considering it being a part of the SpongeBob movie, this is going to be such a treat. My vote is on the movie, though I'll see the movie. I'll see the movie, I'll see the short. It's a win-win. Yeah, exactly. You know, like, if you're going in for the movie, then there's probably a greater chance even that you'll have a great time with the short as well. Anyways, one more comment to go and read here before we get onto our first break. And our favorite New York Turtles are back, and they are doing a Christmas short. Great. I enjoyed the trailer with the knockoffs that look like they were created in an hour, and I love them going against AI. Although I will admit, I'm going to be laughing my ass at the ChatGPT joke when it becomes dated in 5 years. Oh, absolutely. I mean, then again, some people may argue that maybe this short, like, even if it comes out amazing, this could also turn out dated depending on like the fate of AI in the next few years. Not to say that it would be a bad thing, but some people might say, oh, you know, this is like a product of its time. Kind of like if you look back on videos or shorts or any project that would go and discuss about like NFTs or crypto and stuff like that. But anyways, I do see there is a lot of great enthusiasm for Chrome Alone 2 Lost in New Jersey, and that's already a very positive sign for the Turtles. So, if you are excited to go and check out the short, then keep in mind, it will be coming out on December 19th at the same time as alongside with the SpongeBob movie, The Search for SquarePants. All right, so now we are going to go on to our first break. And when we do come back, we're not going to be discussing about what's going to be happening in the future. We are going to discuss about what's happening right now, especially with Disney's latest movie, and it's already preparing to become their next big bomb. So stay tuned for that as we are going to be discussing about the next box office disaster. All right, now when it comes to our next story here, I'm just going to go and be direct right now and say that I will be discussing about the box office performance of Disney's latest movie, Tron Ares. But before I do get into it, there is a big disclaimer that I want to go and address. I have not seen Tron Ares, or at the very least, I have not seen Tron Ares just yet. However, I'm not necessarily planning to go and watch the movie. So with that said, what I am about to get into here, this will not be a commentary about the movie itself. I'm not here to go and criticize the feature. I'm not here to go and blindly blast it or to slam it or what have you. I'm not here to go and judge the movie itself. This is not a review of the actual film. In fact, I'll just say right now, the most that I do know is that so far the reception from critics have been pretty mixed, and in terms of the word of mouth, it is a little bit more positive from what I've heard, in which people have been saying that all in all, it seems like the movie itself is just fine, or at best, it is an enjoyable blockbuster. So from here, if it sounds like that I'm blasting Tron Ares, it's not because of anything the movie itself did, because I cannot go and judge it. Again, I have not seen it, and what I will be talking about here is not a commentary or a criticism on the film itself. I am just going to be looking into the financial aspect or its financial performance on how it did at the box office and some of the business decisions that went into the making of the movie. So I just want to go and make that clarification just so we can understand like where I am coming from and what I am doing with this. So with that said, let us now go and discuss about how Tron Ares did at the box office. Yes, since it did come out this weekend, Tron Ares on the surface, it looks like it kind of did pretty well for itself. Considering that at the domestic Ooh, excuse me, folks. Just a little bit of gas that needs to go and get out a little bit beforehand. But as I was saying, yes, on the surface, it looks like things are going pretty well for Tron Ares, as it actually opened in first place at the domestic box office with a total of $33.5 million. And this is not even to mention that it actually did way better than its competitors, even compared to Roofman, which got into second with $8 million, Soul of Fire, that opened in fifth, and especially Kiss of the Spider-Woman, that only made over $900,000 and started off in 12th place. And if we do look into the total of how much Tron Ares has done, by the way, my sources here are from Box Office Mojo, but on top of having a domestic opening of 33.5 million, if you do add 27 million, it got a worldwide total of 60.5 million. And by the way, just to quickly go and note that even on its opening day, it did stronger than any of the movies at that time, considering that it started off with $14.3 million. So again, on the surface, it looks like it did very well for itself. Just one problem though. This is a big budgeted Disney movie, and starting off with 33.5 million, that's actually quite bad. Not to mention that the movie actually has a budget, or a reported budget, of $180 million. And this doesn't even factor in any of the marketing, publicity, and advertisements that Disney has to go and spend in order to go and promote Tron Ares. And on top of that, I also want to go and include that when it comes to box office analysts, and when they saw Tron Ares, they were expecting that this would have an opening of like $50 million, give or take. But not only did it not cross that number, but already its opening is looking quite dire. And on top of that, I know I'm going to be repeating this again and again, but there is a lot of factors to go and see that what Tron Ares did here is actually quite awful. Because if you would go and compare this to another recent movie that starred Jared Leto, which in this case is Morbius, it actually did better, in fact, considering that on its opening day, it actually made $17.3 million, and on its opening weekend, it made a total of $39 million. So already, that is much more than what Tron Ares has done. But not only that, though, that's not all, because Tron Ares already got a worse opening than the Snow White remake. Because if we compare it to that feature, its opening day is even bigger than Tron Ares, where it made 16.2 million, and it got an opening weekend of $42.2 million. So yeah, already Tron Ares is straight on its way to becoming another massive box office bomb for Disney. But the question is right now, is that just by seeing like how bad that it actually did, where did things go wrong? How is it that Tron Ares had such a bad start and it's already on its way of becoming a major box office bomb where Disney is ready to go and take another L? And some people might think that, well, there might be several factors onto this, considering that October is not necessarily a strong month when it comes to going to the movies and checking out the latest big film, or especially considering that it is around Halloween time, it's usually horror movies or horror adjacent movies that would actually do well around this time, which is why something like Hotel Transylvania, for example, would have a much better chance at making money at the box office compared to Tron Ares, in which would come out around the same time, but did like next to nothing, or at least by the standards of itself. So there are a lot. So yeah, maybe there are a lot of these different factors, but really, there are two significant ones, two of possibly the biggest reasons as to why this ultimately come out as a failure. And these are honestly things that, let's just say, Disney would not be happy to face that kind of reality. Number one and I think it is safe to say it is something that you won't hear the media say that much, but everyone else is pretty much saying it. Jared Leto. The fact that this is a movie that prominently stars Jared Leto. And the big reason why I want to go and mention this is because in Jared Leto's mainstream career for like the past 9 years, he feels like he has been a massive movie poison. Not just for the box office, where he would be featured in films that would become like a failure after a failure, but the films themselves would really suffer as well, down to the point where Jared Leto's presence alone can be considered a massive flaw. And this started, and so far, at least in this modern period of Jared Leto's downfall, this started out with 2016 Suicide Squad, when he played as the Joker. And even though that film turned out to be a box office hit, the film itself did gain a lot of infamy, and to this day, people consider Jared Leto as the worst cinematic version of the Joker, especially when compared to many of the others like Heath Ledger, Jack Nicholson, or Joaquin Phoenix. And then from there, the curse started to follow, and it really started to affect the movies financially, and even like causing the downfall of the franchises, considering that since he was the Joker in Zack Snyder's DC universe, that ultimately got destroyed, and then that got turned into that got turned into the newly updated DC universe that is being run by James Gunn and Peter Safran. But then after that, you also got Morbius, and that turned out to be a massive cinematic joke, where not only was it blasted critically, but also financially, where it became a massive box office bomb. And it was a very troublesome movie for Sony, considering that now, because of what started with Morbius, Spider-Man is no longer a guaranteed win for Sony Pictures, especially at the box office. Not even to mention with critics as well. I mean, sure, they do have the Spider-Verse films from Sony Pictures Animation, but then you also got Madam Web and Kraven the Hunter that pretty much has proven that people are really not interested in checking out Spider-Man spin-off films and would rather have a direct Spider-Man film, or optionally either be fully animated or be part of the MCU with Tom Holland. But then it just kept on continuing. And then suddenly, Jared Leto was also featured in the 2023 Haunted Mansion reboot. And even though he wasn't as prominently advertised, he wasn't like in the starring role, considering that movie had many other celebrities featured, like Danny DeVito, Rosario Dawson, Jamie Lee Curtis, and so much more. He was still in the feature as the Hatbox Ghost, which is honestly very weird because, well, number one, you don't actually see that it is Jared Leto, and number two, you don't actually hear that it is Jared Leto. His voice has been massively altered in that feature, and from there, that movie also went on to become a massive box office bomb, and The Mansion is now back to being seen as just a ride. Like, people don't want to think about the movies, let's just go and set our focus on the ride. And the Hatbox Ghost, well, you could go and see him in The Mansion, where he is not voiced by Jared Leto. And now we also got this here with Tron Ares, where the same thing has happened again. And a lot of people have been very vocal and very clear that they do not want to see Jared Leto be the star of a movie, especially with the fact that he has been considered a very problematic actor. Number one, being with his infamous use of being a method actor. Now, that is a term that you would often hear people discuss, especially in regards to Jared Leto. But Leto is the one that has given the practice a very bad name, because not only does he take it a little too seriously, but it often feels like it makes it an excuse just to be an absolute dick on the set, just to be senselessly mean to people. In fact, there have been allegations in which he was like not just mean, but also a complete menace on the set of Suicide Squad because of his method acting and that he really has to be like the Joker. But those are tame compared to the more serious allegations that went against Jared Leto. And you probably have heard of this recently since that news quickly broke out, considering that he was actually accused of some sexual misconduct, or I don't know like what it could be considered. Like some could say it's just sexual misconduct. Some could say that it's like straight up sexual assault, but he actually had a little bit of his #MeToo moment in which there were multiple women that actually called Jared Leto out because of his inappropriate sexual behavior. And I'm just going to go and read you here this little excerpt from The Guardian, in which it states here, multiple women have accused Jared Leto of impromptly, with some calling the 53-year-old actor and musician's behavior predatory, terrifying, and unacceptable. In a new report by Airmail on Saturday, 9 women have come forward to accuse Leto of engaging in inappropriate behavior over the years, including flirting with teenagers. So yeah, there are some times where he would get a little too sexual with minors as well. And there's even one story here, like just one example, that it is honestly kind of disgusting, in which it even states here, one woman added that once, when she was 18, Leto suddenly pulled his penis out and started masturbating. She told the outlet, then he walked over, grabbed my hand, and put it on him, and he leaned in and said, I want you to spit on it. And that's just one of the several examples of the kind of behavior that Jared Leto would do, and especially in regards to like jailbait teenagers. Like some of them would have these kinds of horror stories when they were like 16 or 17. And keep in mind, this is actually like pretty recent that this came out. This was like back in June of this year. And this is not the first time that we have heard about these stories in regards to Jared Leto. Like, according to allegations, this is not the kind of guy you should worry about if he's on the Epstein list. This is the kind of guy that you should worry that he may have his own Epstein Island, considering that it was actually known that he once had his own remote island that's a part of his band, and that he brought a whole bunch of women there to go and be like this weird midsummer-like cult, and that he actually did do some sexual actions there that may have also involved teenagers. Again, all just allegations, and Jared Leto and his representatives do deny these claims, but still, though, these are some serious acts that need to be investigated, that need to be discussed, and that need to be looked into in order to actually get some answers to know if Jared Leto actually did this or not. So that is a major factor as to why this movie is bombing so far. It's mainly because Jared Leto's the public perception of Jared Leto is really not good, especially when you have these allegations and these stories about his behavior that really do not put him in a positive light. And it's kind of insane because with Jared Leto, like with what's been said against him, he's actually a lot more problematic than someone like either Rachel Zegler or Gal Gadot. But the only difference, however, is that the reason why you don't see Jared Leto get as much scrutiny compared to either Zegler or Gadot is mainly because he's a white male. And I can tell you, white male privilege is absolutely real, because the media and people in general are far more likely to get more upset at whatever a woman of color, or let alone a woman, would do in comparison to what a white male would do, even if what the woman did is far less serious than what the white male did. So there is that significant factor as to why we are seeing not only Jared Leto get away with this kind of stuff, or not only have his claims be taken seriously, but on top of that, why he is still being hired and still be considered as like a top bill performer, because Hollywood somehow still believes that Jared Leto is still that same Oscar-winning actor like he was in the Dallas Buyers Club. But nowadays, from what we have seen in films like Morbius and now Tron Ares, that might not necessarily be the case, because audiences have made it especially clear that they don't want to see a Jared Leto movie. But it would be disingenuous to go and say that it's just because of Jared Leto why this movie bombed, because then there is also a second reason as to why this movie is a flop, and it's mainly because of the fact that it's a Tron movie. Now, I'm not here to go and say that nobody is a fan of Tron, and I know very well that Tron does have its own fan base where there are groups of people out there who do love the movies, especially with the first one, and maybe even with the second one with Legacy. But when it comes to Tron, however, the general public just doesn't really care about it. You know, like one thing that I've seen on social media be shared again and again is that one scene in one of the Treehouse of Horrors in The Simpsons where Homer is all in 3D and he would ask, "Did anybody see the movie Tron?" And everybody was there to say, nope, 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 nope. It's pretty much like that. Tron is one of those movies where you would hear a lot about how it is such a cinematic milestone, especially with its innovative use of CG and implementing that onto a feature and blending that with having real humans interact with that kind of environment. But when it comes to the movie itself, or with the whole movie franchise, people don't really care about it. Like, sure, maybe there are certain aspects that people do enjoy from Tron. Of course, that being with the visual effects that many people can agree that they are revolutionary. That there's also the soundtrack that people absolutely adore, especially with these movies that they're from big name artists. Like with the second film, it was Daft Punk who did it. And even with Tron Ares, it was done by Nine Inch Nails. And that was considered a major selling point for the feature. And there's also the concept of Tron that people really do like. I mean, the idea of this movie where the world, it is set in this virtual video game that people can suddenly like play the arcade game and suddenly find themselves in the actual game and then suddenly get lost in this like unique sci-fi world. People love that idea. But when it comes to the actual movies themselves, it's kind of like you hear a little bit of a similar pattern where the visuals are great, the story is great, but the visuals are great, the music is great, but the story sucks. And this is what's been the word of mouth for the first Tron, for the second Tron with Tron Legacy, and it's the same thing that I've also been hearing about Tron Ares, where there are some things people enjoy, but not when it comes to the story. And that's a big thing that you need to get right in order to make a good, engaging movie. Because if people want to go and check out the world of Tron, they're not going to go and do so because it's the world of Tron. It's mainly because it's a movie. You know, you can't, the thing is that we have yet to see the world of Tron be used in a very effective way in order to be turned into a memorable movie. Now, this is not to say that you cannot make anything good from the world of Tron, because you absolutely can, because we've already seen plenty of examples, and Disney would time and time again would have a lot of fun trying to implement Tron wherever they can and really make the most out of the world building and see how it is used in other places. Like, yeah, there are some movies and shows that would make references to it, like Ralph Breaks the Internet, or Family Guy, that would go and make a Tron reference. But then at the same time, you also got Kingdom Hearts that actually made an entire world based on Tron. And then you also got You got the animated series. I forgot what it was called, but there was the animated show that, even though that did not last long because, well, it's Tron and people don't really care that much about Tron, people who have seen it absolutely adored it. Yes, thank you, Chad. Tron Uprising. Like, people adored Tron Uprising. And yeah, and some people even mentioned there's also one of the OG memes of the internet. There's a Tron guy. And then at the Disney parks, you also got Tron Light Cycle Run, both at Shanghai Disneyland and at the Magic Kingdom and Walt Disney World in Orlando, Florida. And I've been in the Orlando one, and it is phenomenal. Like, it's understandable how that's like the new big ticket attraction at Walt Disney World right now. Like, one of the new must-go places in the Magic Kingdom. It is a lot of fun. I remember a few years back, when I went to Disney World, like, it was honestly not just one of my favorites, but it's also like my whole family agreed that it is like all of our favorites. And it's mainly because it's like, I'm not a big roller coaster guy, I'll admit, but that coaster was phenomenal. It was a lot of fun to go and experience. But the point that I'm making is that you can most certainly make something fantastic out of the concept of Tron. It's just that we have yet to see that be implemented onto a movie. In a way, a part of the reason why Tron Ares failed is a very similar reason as to why the Snow White remake failed. It's mainly because of the whole movie in itself. And considering that it is based on an old Disney franchise, many people are not necessarily fond of the franchise to begin with. We don't see many people, or especially younger people, who are really as nostalgic, or if they really are as personally connected to that franchise in particular. And that, regardless if it would be Tron or Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs, because of that aspect, that plays into the factor of why this ultimately failed. And I just want to go and let you know, those are the two biggest reasons. That doesn't mean that there aren't any others as well. And I do also have another example of like some bad PR that has occurred with Tron Ares, and this being a prominent example in which I personally called this out because I thought it was absolutely stupid that Disney would go and do so. That at the premiere of Tron Ares, not only are one of the sponsors Twitter, but it's specifically Twitter's AI system with Grok, even getting one of those Tesla robots appear on the red carpet to go and promote it. And that right there, honestly, it's like, not only is it shameful that Disney would go and team up with an AI company, but on top of that, to go and promote like one of their movies, but especially Disney teaming up with the AI machine that literally called itself Mecha Hitler. And that is honestly a line that I felt like Disney crossed. And I feel like this right here should have Disney receive massive backlash, or even bigger backlash than what they have gotten with the Snow White remake. But overall, though, regardless of what the reasons may be, there's no denying that the two major ones is actually in regards to Jared Leto and in regards to Tron, to the fact that it is another Tron movie. And I've heard that apparently this film would not exist if it weren't for the help of Jared Leto. Since for a while Disney wanted to make another Tron movie, but it was actually thanks to Jared Leto, or at least that's what's reported, that apparently Jared Leto was the one that was really interested in doing so, and that's why not only is he an actor in this, but he was also a producer of Tron Ares. So this movie would not exist if it weren't for Jared Leto. And in that regards, I guess that ultimately leads to the movie itself to just like be a self-fulfilling failure. Like, it is like, you know, no matter what, like, it was pretty much doomed to fail because it wouldn't exist without Jared Leto. But because it exists with Jared Leto, it's already setting itself up to be a failure. Now, I just want to let you know now that I'm just going to go on a quick break, mainly because I realize I don't have much time left before the next commercial would pop up. So I'm just going to go and do a refresher on that. And when I do come back, I'm going to go and ask you all in the chat wall, what do you all think about Tron Ares' terrible start at the box office? And if you could think of any additional reasons to why it's not going well financially for Tron Ares, let me know what you think. And also, especially if you have seen the movie, I would like to know your thoughts on it. All right, welcome back. Now it's time that we're going to go and check out what the chat wall has to say. And on top of that, I want to go and make things a little bit more interesting. And I'm going to go and write down a poll. And I want to go and ask you all, have you or will you watch Tron Ares? So I'm just going to go and ask that. So this is go and ask if you guys have seen it or if you are planning to go and see it. So all right, now let's put that poll up and let's see what the chat wall has to say right now. Okay, so listen, I like Tron Ares only because I'm a big Tron fan since I first watched the film when I was a kid. I love the visuals, the action, and the music by 9 Inch Nails. Kind of worth seeing it in IMAX 3D. But the biggest problem for me was Jared Leto's performance. He felt completely miscast as Ares. I think Jason Momoa could have been perfect as Ares, but instead we got the pimp Joker ruining the title character, as he also co-produced as well. Hopefully the film industry will stop hiring Jared Leto. All right, let's see what other comments are there. I will say, I for one saw Tron Ares in 4DX with my young sibling during our Florida vacation. We find it to be just alright. The story is mid, but the action and soundtrack from 9 Inch Nails are the real highlights for me. But honestly, Tron Legacy is better. When it comes to box office, I'm honestly not surprised it might become a bomb for Disney. To be honest, I'm much more excited for Zootopia 2 than Ares, then one has more hype and potential than a Jared Leto movie. Yeah, I'm just going to go and say that despite all of this, I almost forgot to mention it, that even though, yes, it looks like almost a guarantee that Tron Ares is going to be a box office bomb and that Disney will be losing money on it. However, I don't think Disney is really that worried, considering that they know that they'll have some backup. It's going to be similar to what has happened with the failure of Snow White, and then suddenly Disney made more than their money back with the Lilo and Stitch remake. Because even though they might have lost money on Tron Ares, whatever they may have lost, they're going to gain it back with not just Zootopia 2, but also Avatar, Fire and Ash. And those two films are going to be coming pretty soon. And those are sending out some strong signals that they are going to become box office hits, even if they don't turn out to be like critical masterpieces or anything like that. So really, in terms of Disney, I'm not really too worried if Tron Ares is going to be causing that much damage to the company, because let's be honest, it really won't. Let's see, what other comments do we have here? With all the aspects, I'm honestly not surprised that the movie bombed at the box office. It's been released on Canadian Thanksgiving weekend. It's a Tron movie. It has Jared Leto. I mean, that's already sending red flags. It's sponsored by Twitter and Grok, and it was released in October, and it's not spooky. It's pretty fitting that it would bomb. Then again, it is pretty scary that a Jared Leto and Mecha Hitler as its main advertisement. Seriously, what do you think is going to happen? Actually, I would debate that, you know, this could count as a scary movie, considering that any movie that would star Jared Leto would be considered scary. Like, do you think the Mansion reboot was considered frightening because of all the ghosts? No, it's because one of them turns out to be freaking Jared Leto. And by the way, I got the results here on the poll that I made, and so far, yeah, it's not looking strong for Tron Ares, considering that 69% of you have actually said no. I mean, the poll is nice, but the results for Tron Ares is not. And only 31% of you have actually said that yes, you have seen or you are planning to go and see Tron Ares. So yeah, very concerning for the movie and not a positive sign whatsoever. All right, let's see what other comments we got here now. While I haven't seen the movie myself, mainly because I'm not a Tron fan, but this isn't surprising. Between Jared Leto being a box office poison and the fact that Tron is not that popular compared to some Disney's other franchises, it's unfortunate because I think Tron has potential as a franchise. Then again, I don't think it's as bad of a loss because whatever Disney will lose with Tron, they'll most likely to gain it back with Zootopia 2 and Avatar Fire and Ash. Exactly, just like what I described. You know, you're right as well, man. Let's see. Ironically, Tron Ares itself was an okay film overall and wasn't particularly better or worse than its predecessors. Unfortunately, having an infamous box office poison to be a lead actor and one of the producers of your film was probably a terrible optic, even though I've seen worse acting from him. Also, AniMat, one of the ads that was attached to this podcast was "Make America Fentanyl Free?" which looks okay on the surface, but unfortunately it seems like a pro-Trump ad. Okay, keep in mind, like, whatever ad that you may get, I'm not in control of it. That's Twitch's fault right there, okay? I'm not the one who is in control of whatever ad that you may go and get. I'm only in charge of initiating the ad so that I can actually have an income and that I can have a business with what I do here. So just want to let you know, if you get any of those like conspiratorial wackadoodle ads like what you just got there, trust me, if I could find a way to ban those kinds of ads that would show up in what I do, like with AniMat's Crazy Cartoon Cast or with my videos, I would gladly do so. But I don't know if there is a way to go and control that. All right. Let's see if there are any other comments that we got here. As someone who wasn't too big on the first two films, I ended up seeing this recent third installment on my birthday and thought it was Sure, the visuals in 3D were fantastic, and the Nine Inch Nails soundtrack was awesome, but it really lacked in the story and character department. For me with Tron, I'll stick with Light Cycle Run and its video game appearances, like in Disney Infinity and Disney Universe. Yeah, exactly. I mean, worst case scenario, the funny thing is, though, I feel like what Waterworld is to Universal, Disney now has their version of it, and it's Tron Light Cycle Run. Like, the films themselves, like, they turn out to have a pretty bad reputation and turn out to be major box office flops, but man, they do turn out to be great when you bring them in the theme parks, rather it be to make an epic stunt show or you make an awesome coaster. I think that's probably the biggest benefit that we have gotten with Tron so far. All right, I think I'm going to read one more comment and then we're going to go and move on to our next break and our next story. So let's see. As someone who hasn't seen Tron Ares, I'm not surprised it's not doing well at the box office. Both Jared Leto's terrible box office history in recent years and Tron being a niche franchise really made the movie a lost cause. It's kind of repeating history with what Tron Legacy had back in 2010. Let's hope Hollywood won't have Jared Leto in another movie again after the box office bomb of Tron Ares. And well, honestly, sadly, I don't think that's going to be happening, considering that he did sign on to play as Skeletor in Amazon's adaptation of He-Man, but that's going to be their problem now. Honestly, the only thing we could really hope for the best is just if Disney has learned their lesson. All right, now we're going to go on to our next break, and when we do come back, speaking of Tron Life Cycle Run, that's actually going to be a little bit the subject of our next story here. Not necessarily Tron Life Cycle Run itself, but more specifically on what is happening around Tron Life Cycle Run in Walt Disney World. So stay tuned for some Disney Park news. All right, welcome back. Now, on our next story, we're going to go more lighthearted with this one, considering that Yeah, there's been a lot of pessimism to go and express regarding what has happened with Tron Ares and how it ended up as a potential box office bomb, especially with the existence of Jared Leto and the fact that this is a Tron movie over there. So why don't we talk about something that we could be more excited for? And considering that we did talk about Tron Light Cycle Run, there has actually been a lot of Disney Parks news going on, but more specifically, some major updates on what is happening in Walt Disney World, considering that Disney has simultaneously released a bunch of updates on what's going to be happening on some of their biggest and also upcoming attractions. And they're all specific to one prominent theme, and that is audio-animatronics. Yes, the animatronic figures that bring to life many of the beloved Disney characters, rather they be from the movies or exclusively in the parks. Apparently, we are going to go and get some major updates from them, or at least some of them, for what's going to be happening in some upcoming rides and one of the major ones. So let's look at them one by one. First and foremost, we got Zootopia Better Zoogether, which is going to be the upcoming 3D show that will be at Disney's Animal Kingdom, replacing It's Tough to Be a Bug, set underneath the park's icon, the Tree of Life. So from there, as you guys know, there's going to be this new 4D Zootopia show that's going to be going on. But not all the characters from Zootopia will be appearing on screen, because there is one, however, that's going to be prominent off screen, but you will be seeing him quite a lot. And that is actually going to be in regards to Clawhauser, as he's going to be presented next to the screen as an animatronic, in which it states here, reading from my source on Disney Park blog, when we met Clawhauser in Zootopia, he was sporting his ZPD uniform. At the Zoogether Day watch party, he'll be decked out from head to tail with a brand new look, glow necklaces, and his favorite glittery gazelle t-shirt. This larger-than-life fan wants nothing more than to be picked as the VIZ, the very important Zootopian, the lucky mammal who will get special access to the Zoogether Day performers, which probably one of them is going to be Gazelle. And when that doesn't work out, he has to take matters into his own hands. So as you can see here, we got Clawhauser as an animatronic who's going to be controlling the deck here. But I'll just go and say right here that this animatronic is going to be a lot more different than the one that has been presented in Shanghai Disneyland. For those of you who don't know, in Shanghai, they have an entire Zootopia section that is home to the prominent Zootopia ride in there. And they do feature like several animatronics of many of the different characters from the movie, not just Nick and Judy, but in the pre-show, before you actually get into the vehicle, you do see animatronics of Clawhauser and Chief Bogo. And the Clawhauser in Shanghai, it's a little bit different, especially when it has a projector screen for the eyes to make it look more organic, which honestly, it doesn't really work as much as they may think, but we're going to discuss about that a little bit later. But as you can see here, from what they are presenting, at least in the pictures, it looks like Clawhauser is going to be a lot more organic. Like they're approaching him in a way that's going to be far less dependent on screen, and they're just going to be using Clawhauser himself just performing on the side, just making commentaries. And based on what's being described here, it looks like he's going to have a very prominent role in this, where he might be one of the animals that may cause chaos in the Zoogether Day that they have going on. But still, though, it is going to be very interesting with what they are going to have planned with Clawhauser here. I know that he is a lot of fun watching him in either the Zootopia movie or in not just that, but in Zootopia Plus. Like, that was a lot of fun to go and check out, especially like his dream episode where he was with Chief Bogo and saving Gazelle and stuff like that. That was hilarious. But now we're going to see a lot more of him in Better Zoogether. So honestly, I'm going to be interested to see what's going to be in store with how he's going to be in the attraction. So that'll be fun to go and check out. And by the way, they did also confirm that Better Zoogether is going to be opening very soon, since it is going to be opening its doors on November 7th. So keep in mind that if you are planning to go to Walt Disney World soon, then maybe consider checking out the new Zootopia 3D show. And on top of that, we also got another major update in terms of an attraction that does have some anticipation, considering that this IP did lose their beloved attraction that has been at this particular park for the longest time. Now they are going to be getting an update on it, and this is one that fans are really going to be keeping an eye out for, which is Rock and Roller Coaster starring the Muppets. Yes, now that they don't have Muppet Vision 3D, or at least they don't have Muppet Vision 3D for now, they are, however, going to be taking over Rock and Roller Coaster and replacing Aerosmith. And there have been a lot of updates that we have heard from Rock and Roller Coaster starring the Muppets. And we have seen a lot of the concept art before of what they have in store, including this one that we have here, that it's already been displayed, it's already been discussed. Like, we've already seen the one where this is the pre-show in which we see on the screens, it has Kermit the Frog and Miss Piggy, and we got the Electric Mayhem playing in the band. And on top of that, it looks like they're hinting that there's going to be some penguins that will be taking control of the sound, as well as Scooter that is on the side here, and that he may be an animatronic. Well, in this case here, it looks like Disney has now officially confirmed that, yes, Scooter is going to be making his audio animatronic debut, in which it says here, side by side with a dedicated team of Penguin audio engineers, Scooter, in his capacity as a band manager, will be trying hard to convince the Electric Mayhem to stop laying down tracks so they won't be late for their own concert. This will be the first time Scooter has ever been imagined as an audio animatronic figure, and I hear he might not be the only Muppet audio animatronic figure joining the attraction, but we'll have to wait and learn more about that. So basically, this is a major confirmation as to something that we already know, that there is going to indeed be more Penguin audio animatronics, but this time they're going to be audio engineers, and that we are going to have a prominent Scooter audio animatronic. But the thing that really does stand out here is the fact that they said that they might not be the only ones, though. We might actually go and see more audio animatronics happen, we might see more audio animatronics appear throughout the ride. Maybe not necessarily in the ride itself, considering that we are talking about a roller coaster, so you won't really have time to go and see the actual animatronics, but we might end up seeing more animatronics, rather it be in the pre-show that we see here. Maybe there might be more that will come up, like Gonzo or Fozzie or any of those other Muppets. Or maybe we might see it in the loading deck, where maybe we might see some of the Electric Mayhem members actually be in the they might actually be a part of the attraction, where we might see like an animal animatronic or a Dr. Teeth animatronic. Or, of course, one thing that I will say is most likely, I don't know if it's going to be just before the ride begins or after the ride finishes, but maybe we will see another Statler and Waldorf animatronic. Maybe we might see another pair of animatronics in them doing what they do best, making commentary about the entire experience. I wouldn't be surprised if that could actually be the case there. But by the way, there is another big update in regards to Rocket Roller Coaster starring the Muppets, since at the same time with this announcement, they also revealed when the ride is actually going to open, in which it is stated that it is going to be opening its doors in the summer of 2026. So this is so from what I could tell, it's not going to be like a major renovation. It's not going to be like changing the entire ride from the bottom to the top. It's going to be a similar thing to what has happened when Disney changed Splash Mountain to Tiana's Bayou Adventure. It's basically keeping the same ride, but they're just completely changing up the theme and changing up the aesthetics and changing up the decor, where now it is just going to feature the Muppets instead of Aerosmith. So from there, that's why I'm stating that maybe in the actual ride itself, we're not going to go and see any major changes that'll happen within, but we'll definitely see more effort in terms of the changes that they will do in like the pre-show, in the loading area, and in the and all afterwards when the ride is finished. So that's pretty much what I'm expecting. But hey, it's another major update with the Muppets, so I'm definitely excited to go and see. Maybe a little bit nervous if I would go and actually ride it, because again, I will confess, I'm not a big roller coaster guy, and even doing something like Rocket Roller Coaster does seem pretty intimidating. I mean, the G-forces, man, not easy to go and handle, but still, though, still going to be very exciting to see what Disney has in store with this. At least they're giving some form of attention with the Muppets. And with roller coasters, that's always a big draw with the crowd. So at least we're going to have like a really popular Muppet attraction. But the big thing, the biggest announcement that Disney has made with its animatronics, it's not in regards to Clawhauser in Better Zoogether. It's not in regards to Scooter and possibly other Muppets in Rocket Roller Coaster starring the Muppets. No, the biggest announcement that they have made is that there is going to be new animatronics in Frozen Ever After at Epcot. So, just to give you a little bit of context, for those of you who don't know, ever since it first opened in 2016 at Epcot, Frozen Ever After has been a massive popular attraction. In fact, it's one of the biggest attractions at Epcot next to Test Track and Guardians of the Galaxy Cosmic Rewind. And from there, at the time, it did get some new versions of animatronics where you would have the figures themselves, but they would have these projector screens to go and present the faces. In fact, I'm going to go and show you a little bit of an example of what I mean. So this is just a little video showing how it is in the ride. So, as you can see with the Elsa animatronic, you notice that her face is a little bit strange, and that is mainly because the head is completely static, and what it is showing is actually a screen. And from that screen, they would show an animated face to go and actually do this weird updated version of the animatronic, where instead of making a fully articulated head, they would just have animation to go and present the facial expressions of these characters. And it wasn't just Elsa who got that treatment. In the ride, you also got Anna and Kristoff, who also got this. And as time moved on, people really thought that it was just a little bit weird. There was something that looks completely off, especially if you would go and record it and if you would go and tape it. In fact, like if we go back to the example of how it is used here, in fact, let me just show you like a closer version to show you what I mean. Like here is, yeah, you don't have to go and sing, but you notice with Anna and Kristoff that the heads light up so much more than their other bodies. And like you see this in either pictures or with videotapes. like all of which they turn out like these weird results when you have them presented through video, you know, when you present them through an image. Like it really is one of those effects that kind of works better when you see it live, but even at that, there's something about it that just looks absolutely weird. But then, of course, because of the massive popularity of Frozen Ever After, it did get cloned into other places. Or particularly with this one, the ride got cloned in Hong Kong Disneyland. And the animatronics in that are actually completely different. In fact, let me show you an example. Like, we're going to see the clip with Elsa again, but this one is going to be massively different. You'll see how the animatronic is in Hong Kong. Now this right here, whoops, thank you. This right here feels a lot more natural. I mean, maybe the facial expressions kind of look a little bit more restricted than they would with the 3D animation, but still though, at least it looks genuine. At least it looks like something that is actually in front of you. It is an actual face compared to just a screen. And that alone is considered a massive upgrade. And this is not even to mention what Disney has also done for Tokyo Disneyland in the upgraded version of the ride, Anna and Elsa's Frozen Journey. So from there, Walt Disney World goers have been massively jealous of what Hong Kong and Tokyo has gotten with their animatronics of Anna and Elsa. And even though Disney wouldn't do that again, like even with Tiana's Bayou Adventures, Tiana does have like a regular animatronic face instead of like a 3D projected one. They, you know, Disney fans were hoping that they could go and actually get that upgrade, you know, that they would see those Hong Kong animatronics also be applied to Orlando. Well, finally, at long last, Disney has revealed that they are indeed getting their wish. They are going to get those updated animatronics at Epcot, in which it is stated right over here. And in a full circle moment of innovation, the Anna, Elsa, and Kristoff audio animatronic figures will soon receive new updates after 10 years of delighting fans in Frozen Ever After. Taking inspiration from the advancements seen in figures at World of Frozen in Hong Kong Disneyland, the Frozen Ever After figures will face the future of audio animatronics. Early next year, this investment will bring a more true-to-film look to these for these beloved characters. Just looking at the photos from Hong Kong Disneyland, I could tell we're in for a treat here at Walt Disney World. So you see, like, even with Anna and Elsa, they look way more organic. Even with the one from Elsa that we have seen, it definitely looks so much better. And I just want to go and put out my comment here. Like, I understand that what we have seen in Frozen Ever After, what they did there, I know that's not necessarily the first time that we have seen that. You know, like there have been many times before where we've seen those projection faces used before in other Disney rides, such as the Singing Head Bus in the Haunted Mansion, or even Buzz Lightyear at the pre-show of Space Ranger Spin. Like, we've seen this happen and used before to varying different effects. And I know that technically they're not the only ones. Like, even around the time of Frozen Ever After, I believe the technology was also used for the Hatbox Ghosts as well, which, well, funny enough, like after talking about Tron, Ares, and Jared Leto, well, here's the Hatbox Ghost coming back into the conversation. But for real though, it's always been a controversial form of technology in order to go and bring these characters to life. And not many Disney fans and theme park fans are really fan of that. And I mean, this isn't exclusively Disney who would go and do so. Universal is also guilty of doing this. Even just this year with Epic Universe, there was also like Monsters Unleashed with Dr. Frankenstein also has that same projection face that they would go and use. Now, maybe they did it a little bit differently, but still, though, it is kind of like the same principle and the same concept. But in the case of Frozen, yeah, it just made it look awkward and it made it look weird. And even when I went to Frozen Ever After, I did ride the attraction. And like, yeah, it was definitely a lot of fun to actually be in to go and be in a Frozen ride and feel like you're actually face to face with Elsa, Olaf, Anna, and Kristoff and all those characters. Like, yeah, it was fun, but there's no denying that the projection faces did look a bit weird. And seeing Disney finally responding to that criticism and actually updating those animatronics, I think honestly, it's great. It's absolutely worth it. And I think, I feel like it is something that it has to be done, especially with the fact that it's not just because it looks weird, but it's also the fact that Frozen Ever After, as I said before, is one of Epcot's biggest attractions, like right up there with Guardians of the Galaxy Cosmic Rewind and Test Track. And there have been occasions in which Frozen Ever After would be the most popular ride at Epcot. So this is the one ride that if people go to Epcot, there's a strong likelihood they would go and want to meet Anna and Elsa. And from there, that's when Disney has to realize there are going to be many people who will see those animatronics and maybe not get the best reception in terms of seeing the face, in terms of seeing the projection faces. So they would have to go and do something about it. If the ride is not as popular as it is now, if it would get the same like easy to access, if it gets the same popularity and like get like the straight, like no lineup style rides, kind of like with like Journey into Imagination with Figment, for example, then it wouldn't be that much of an issue. But because of the popularity of Frozen Ever After, it kind of makes it a bit of a mandatory for Disney to go and take action. And honestly, I'm glad to see that the Imagineers are responding to that criticism and that they will go and provide that update for Frozen Ever After. So the next time people will get into it, around the time in apparently 2026, they're going to do so, then I'm sure it's going to be a well-needed change and a well-needed upgrade for this ride. All right, so now, with that said, now I'm going to pass this on to the chat wall, and I'd like to ask you all, what do you all think about these audio animatronic news? Rather it be with Clawhauser or with Scooter or with the characters from Frozen, I would like to know what you all think. All right, so let's see what we got here. Hearing the news that Epcot's Frozen Ever After getting better Anna and Elsa animatronics is the biggest news for me. I've never been to Walt Disney World, but have been on Anna and Elsa's Frozen journey at Tokyo Disney Sea, and those animatronics are my favorites that Disney Imagineers has ever done. Hopefully Epcot get those types of animatronics in the ride. I heard the reason why those projection faces existed was because of John Lasseter's approval. That cheap ass. Oh, of course. Honestly, why am I not surprised if it's actually because of John Lasseter why we got this? Now, even though John Lasseter, during his time, he was like the creative head of Disney Animation, but he was also heavily involved in terms of what goes into the attractions as well. Like, he also got his creative hands onto Imagineering. So I wouldn't be surprised if that's also a decision by freaking Lasseter, because yeah, it does feel like one of those things that when you look back, it's like, yeah, that was kind of cringe. I feel like more and more, like whatever John Lasseter would do at Disney, it's like you look back at it and it's like, yeah, maybe it's not the best idea after all. Okay, anyways, let's see. there is definitely some great animatronic updates. I'm honestly happy that Frozen Ever After is getting the updated animatronic it's been long overdue for, and I'm very curious about the Muppet animatronics from Rock and Roller Coaster, along with also with Rock and Roller Coaster. I'm happy that it's getting that update since it's about time it got a change from Aerosmith, mainly because of the controversy with Steven Tyler. Yeah, I did hear about that. And I think, like, honestly, regardless of the controversies or not, I think this was like a long overdue update. Like, I can tell you that everybody, even with all the Disney adults, we knew that there was going to be a time that Rock and Roller Coaster was about to go and change its theme. Like, everybody was pretty much debating about, oh, which ones are they going to change? And some people thought, like, oh, maybe they'll do like a Camp Rock thing. But honestly, like, for me, it was always been my dream idea that they would just replace Aerosmith with the Electric Mayhem, but seeing that actually happen is like, oh my god, that is actually amazing. All right, and I guess surprisingly enough, there's not been a whole lot of comments to go and read. Oh, actually, there is one extra one to go and check out. I have to say, this really sounds very exciting for all the updates and announcements. Like, Zootopia show seems like it's going to be a lot of fun, since I do like Clawhauser having a prominent role. Muppets getting a ride even after Vision. I hope they come back, and it is very anticipating, even if I'm not a roller coaster guy. And the well-deserved update from the Frozen ride. Will they fix this with the Seven Dwarfs? Oh, that's true. Even the Seven Dwarfs also got that. Honestly, I don't know. I think Disney is doing like one at a time. I feel like if it works with Frozen Ever After, if they get great reception from Frozen Ever After and it's like getting a lot of positive reviews and it's been working out for them, then I could imagine maybe Disney would consider doing that with things like the Seven Dwarfs, for example. That would also be great to see if they can also do it for those animatronics as well. All right, so with that said, we're going to go on to our next break. And when we do come back, I have one more Disney news to go and report to you guys. And sadly, this might be one that some may consider to be a bit of bad news, because one project that has been on hold for quite a while, for about half a year, now it is going to be resumed. And we even got an idea of who the villain may be. So stay tuned for that. All right, welcome back. Now, on our next story, we are going to be talking about the Disney live-action remakes. Now, I did discuss about that a little bit when talking about Tron Ares in relation to what happened with the Snow White remake. And I remember at that time, many people thought that because of the failure of the Snow White remake, many people on the internet were hoping that this would cause the massive downfall of live action remakes in general. That they think that because Disney lost a significant amount of money on that remake in particular, it would discourage them from making even more live action remakes, and that people would be free from that entire trend so that Disney could go and make more original stuff that people on the internet would go and also completely ignore and just constantly complain about. I mean, I don't think that's going to be a solution that will make people happy, considering that, well, you know, looking at how they treated Elio, I don't think things would change regardless if Disney would continue or stop the live action remake trend. Or at least I'm just talking about from what I've been seeing on social media. No, but anyways, for real though, a lot of people think that it would be the end of it, but honestly, I always thought it would be very foolish to have that mindset. Because we all know that things would then immediately pick up for that trend, especially with the next movies like the Lilo and Stitch remake. And lo and behold, the trend is now confirmed to go and continue, especially with what has happened with the Tangled remake. Yes, it has now been reported that the live-action remake of the 2010 animated feature Tangled is now back in production. Now, to go into a little bit of what I've just talked about, one of the reasons why people thought that maybe we would see the beginning of the end of the live-action remake trend was because as a result of the Snow White remake being a box office bomb, Disney decided to go and indefinitely put on hold the production of the Tangled live action remake, mainly because they were trying to consider if maybe these remakes based on Disney princess movies would even be viable in the first place. Would people want to actually go and check those movies out at the box office? But then, of course, we have seen that, well, people are still interested in seeing live action remakes in general. And that is especially the case with what we have seen during the start of the summer with the Lilo and Stitch remake and the How to Train Your Dragon remake. So from there, considering that those are major box office hits, especially the Lilo and Stitch remake being right now the highest grossing American movie of the year so far, that has given more hope for Disney that they could still go and make more live action remakes. And thus, after half a year of putting it on hold, they decided to go and bring back the Tangled live action remake. So now that is back on in production. And they even confirmed that there hasn't been some major things that they would go and immediately change. They have confirmed that the helmer of The Greatest Showman, Michael Gracie, is still going to be the director of this, and they're still going to be working with a script made by the writer of the I Know What You Did Last Summer reboot, Jennifer Caton Robinson. But the biggest update to this is not just the fact that they brought this production back, but they have also mentioned that they are considering one particular actress to go and play the movie's villain, Mother Gothel, in which it is stated in this article on Variety that they are thinking about having Scarlett Johansson to possibly be the star of, or not to be the star, but I mean, to have Scarlett Johansson play the role of Mother Gothel. So yeah, I can imagine that there are some people out there that they looked at this news and they thought, boo. I know, I can already hear it right now through social media and stuff like that. But as I stated before, if you really unironically thought that the live action remake trend was going to be over after the failure of the Snow White remake, then I think I might have stated this before, but you really are just lying to yourself. Because one movie's downfall would not be the cause of an entire trend to just suddenly go and end. You would have to see with the other movies if they would go and also financially collapse as well, which is not what happened here. Because it's something that, let's be real, we all saw this coming. And on top of that, it's not just Disney's fault in this. Like, you can't just blame on the Lilo and Stitch remake for being the cause that this trend would go and continue. You would also have to hold accountability to the live action remake of How to Train Your Dragon, because now we are in an age that it's not just Disney doing this, but now we're starting to see other studios get into the trend as well, especially now that Universal is pretty optimistic and now hopeful that they could go and capitalize on this trend as well with the How to Train Your Dragon remake. We already know for a fact that there's going to be a sequel that's going to be coming out in 2027, and who knows if they would be considering the idea of making more live action remakes, rather it be if they're going to be based on either a DreamWorks movie or maybe even one of their Illumination movies. I'm just saying, the chances of a live action remake of Despicable Me are not zero. But going back to what I was talking about, because those movies ended up becoming very popular, they have still proven that the whole trend of live action remakes are still popular in general. So really, it just feels like this announcement of the fact that Disney would go and put the production of Tangled on hold, like, I think it only gave false hope to people. It really made them go into this desperate wishful thinking mode, because there are people on social media whom they're just absolutely desperate for this trend to go and absolutely end, that they're just tired of seeing this happen again and again, and all they do on social media, rather it be on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, Blue Sky, or whatever, that they would just keep on complaining and complaining about it and just feeling all around pessimistic about it. So really, it's just one of those that if you really, if you're really that upset that the Tangled reboot is back on, then there's a part of it where you only have yourself to blame because you lied to yourself saying that the live action remake trend is over. No, it is not over. And from what I'm seeing so far, it is still very strong and people still want to go and really get into this. And one major factor in which this article even talked about a little bit is regarding the nostalgia factor that they are hoping that this movie could actually become pretty big. Because one thing that Tangled does have over Snow White is that it does have a strong nostalgia factor that audiences could connect with that franchise and that they would have fond memories of even for when the movie was out in theaters. Keep in mind, this year, Tangled is going to be 15 years old. I mean, I remember when Tangled was one of the first movies that I reviewed on the internet. So from there, there's bound to be an audience who will have those fond memories of watching Tangled like back in 2010 or in the beginning of the 2010s, and that will have them go and immediately connect what they would go and see. It's kind of like the same reason as to why the Lilo and Stitch remake, or even the How to Train Your Dragon remake especially, turned out to be very popular. In fact, you know what? I'm actually going to go and even take it one step further. And this is just going to be a little bit of a theory, but I feel like if there's one movie that really encouraged Disney to resume the Tangled remake, I would say that it's not because of the Lilo and Stitch remake, but rather the How to Train Your Dragon remake, since that film was also released back in the released back in 2010 as well. And considering how that feature turned out to be successful and got audiences to go and check it out and have nostalgic memories for How to Train Your Dragon, then that actually does give a confirmation that people could have the same reaction to Tangled as well, especially if it gives them the prospects of seeing those memorable scenes come to live action. You know, like I'm sure there are going to be audiences out there who are really prepared to go and experience I See the Light, but now in live action. But with all that said, though, there is also the other piece of news that I want to go and discuss a little bit about, and that is the idea of possibly having Scarlett Johansson play as Mother Gothel. Now, again, keep in mind that there is no confirmation about the casting of Mother Gothel in there, but I will say, though, I kind of do get the casting idea. I do get what Disney is going for with that. And I would say, even though it's not all the time, but there are certain cases where in those live action remakes, as much as I do agree that the whole trend sucks, there are times when one thing that they can get absolutely correct is to get the casting of the villain done well. And there are times when they would go and like they would nail it perfectly to the point that they would be like the best things about that feature. Like there are times like maybe it could be a little bit of a different interpretation. Like there's Idris Elba as Shere Khan. Like definitely much more different than what we have seen in the 1967 movie, but still a great and menacing interpretation of Shere Khan. And then there is also Ursula in the Little Mermaid remake, played by Melissa McCarthy, which I honestly find to be one of her best performances. And honestly, I was shocked and impressed by how well she managed to pay respects to the original Pat Carroll performance and really made it her own thing. I think honestly, like, even though the Little Mermaid remake, I thought it was just okay, Melissa McCarthy's performance is just phenomenal. So I could see how there are certain castings where it could actually go pretty well. And I could see how they would do it like perfectly. Now, there are times when some villains are casted terribly. And while it might sound good on paper, in practice, it just turned out to be awful. Like, for example, the guy who played Jafar was just laughably bad. And then recently with the Snow White remake, you got Gal Gadot, who was so badly performing as the evil queen. Honestly, like, she was one of the worst things about the Snow White remake. So in that regards, like, yeah, there are some things that wouldn't work out. But with an actress who has proven that she can definitely act like Scarlett Johansson, I could definitely see that maybe she could have potential to be a very strong Mother Gothel. So I think that's going to be a moment where I'm going to wait and see, because I'm not 100% sold on the idea, but I could see where maybe that actually can work. But I will say, though, if it doesn't work out with Scarlett Johansson, I do have another person in mind who I think would be perfect to play as Mother Gothel in the live-action remake of Tangled, and that is Donna Murphy, aka the original Mother Gothel. Yes, I think Disney should do that stunt casting again, where they should bring back Donna Murphy to actually go and play as Mother Gothel, because number one, she has already been proven to actually be great as Mother Gothel, since she was actually the one who made the role in the first place. And not to mention that with this kind of stunt casting, like, it always worked out pretty well for the others. You know, like we saw, for example, like with the Lion King remake, they brought back James Earl Jones to reprise his role as Scar. And even though the results are kind of mixed, it did manage to bring audiences to go and check that movie out to become a massive success. And then you also got the How to Train Your Dragon remake, in which they brought back Gerard Butler to play as Stoic. And that was also another aspect that brought audiences to be interested to go and check that movie out. So honestly, I feel like, why not go and do that stunt casting again and say, hey, we're bringing the original Mother Gothel back in the live action remake, and she's now going to also be the live action Mother Gothel. And another factor, my number 2 reason, is because honestly, look at Donna Murphy here. Donna Murphy, honestly, and this is not meant to be an insult, she looks like Mother Gothel. I feel like, honestly, she looks like she can actually do well playing as Mother Gothel, because, like, you dress her, you know, give her those black long curls, you know, put her in that red dress, she'd be perfect in the part. She would actually really get into that. And I know some people are asking about her age and stuff like that. Honestly, that does not matter, because if you are going to do Mother Gothel, you are really going to be playing with her age. You're going to make her look extremely old, but you're also going to make her look young as well. So that re-aging and de-aging technology, that's going to be heavily used regardless of which actress you're going to bring in. Rather it be Scarlett Johansson or Donna Murphy here, you're going to do, you know, you have no choice but to do so. But anyways, that's just my personal opinion. And I mean, if a Tangled remake is going to happen, then you might as well go and try to make the most out of it. And honestly, I would be more open to the idea of a Tangled remake if they would go and cast Donna Murphy for her to go and reprise her role as Mother Gothel. But again, that's just my personal opinion. I know that, apparently I said, I made a little bit of a mistake when talking about James Earl Jones, and I think I said the wrong character, and I meant to say Mufasa. I honestly forgot who to say who I said instead, but I apologize for that little screw up right there. But yes, I do mean that James Earl Jones reprised his role as Mufasa in the live action remake of The Lion King. So yeah, but overall though, yes, it looks like we are going to be getting this Tangled remake after all, and I do understand why some people think that it sucks. But I mean, if it is going to happen, we'll see if maybe it could turn out to be a pretty good idea, or maybe it won't. But when it comes to the casting with Mother Gothel, rather it be with Scarlett Johansson or maybe with Donna Murphy, we'll see. Honestly, I think like at best, it's just going to be like, you know what? All right, it's going to happen. We'll wait and see with how things go. All right, now with that said and done, now I'd like to pass this on to the chat wall, and I'd like to ask you all, what do you think of the fact that the Tangled remake is coming back on, and on top of that, they might have found their Mother Gothel with Scarlett Johansson? Let me know what you all think of that, if you guys approve of this idea, or if you are against it. All right, let's see now. Now, I'm not saying it's anticipating, but the fact for how they've been recently, I'm not confident about being great, but to be truthfully honest, that is not a bad choice. Of course, she already did a role in The Jungle Book, but I think she can be someone better. And she was on my list of choices of actresses to play her outside of Donna Murphy. That or Maya Rudolph, Catherine Hahn, or even Maria Canals Barrera would have been better choices. Does it make it better? Not really, but hey, I'm hoping. Exactly. I mean, some people are expecting a shipwreck, but if that's the case, you might as well go and make the most out of it to make the least damage on that whole thing. And if you are going to be fine, if you are currently looking for a Mother Gothel, then you might as well make the most out of it. And I know, like, I see in the chat wall, a lot of people are really demanding Catherine Hahn to play as Mother Gothel. And I could see how she could be a good choice as well. But ultimately, it'll be up to Disney. I mean, so far, the options are up in the air. We got Scarlett Johansson, we got Maya Rudolph, we got Catherine Hahn, or we got Donna Murphy. We'll see what Disney will say. Let's see now. Well, it was nice to have hope that we were seeing the beginning of the end for these terrible live-action remakes, but I guess Lilo and Stitch just made so much more money that it deserves to make it, that it changes Disney execs' mind. And also, the How to Train Your Dragon remake, and also, if you had that hope, that's just your fault. That ain't hope, that's just lying to yourself. You need to face that fact, dude. But anyways, let's see. And Scarlett Johansson as Mother Gothel, seriously, like, I love her, but she is a horrible choice for the role. Like, Catherine Hahn is right there. She's even part of the same cinematic universe as Scarlett Johansson. All right, let's see. I'll be honest, as much as I was really hoping this movie wouldn't happen, I'm not shocked since this is still happening after the success of Lilo and Stitch. Now, as for Scarlett Johansson and Mother Gothel, while she is a talented actress and maybe she could pull it off, honestly, she was not my first choice. Catherine Hahn was right there, and she would have been perfect. Yeah, there's a lot of people really rooting for Catherine Hahn here. Any other comments? Just want to go and see if there are any. I guess I'll read this one then. As someone who is not into live action remakes of animated features, I see Disney is happy over the Tangled remake being back on development. Why Scarlett Johansson is there? Why Scarlett Johansson if there's Catherine Hahn or Donna Murphy to play Mother Gothel? I hope the movie can see the light. Ultimately, we're just going to have to go and wait and see on that. So, yeah, folks, there is going to be a Tangled remake after all, rather if you enjoy it or not. Again, if it's going to happen, then let's just hope for the best that it doesn't suck so bad. All right, so we got one more story to go and talk about, but before that, we have one more break to get into, and afterwards, we're going to get into our grand finale, and considering that we did talk about Tron's glitchy opening, we got one more glitch to get into, and this is going to be a very good glitch that will make animation fans hyped up, so stay tuned for that. And now, everyone, it is time that we are going to go and conclude this episode off with the grand finale. And for this grand finale, yes, we are finally going to step aside from all the Disney talk And we got one more major piece of animation news that is actually going to be brought to us by Glitch Productions. Now, I don't think this is actually in connection to New York Comic Con, but I do know that Glitch Productions recently, they actually made a huge batch of their own announcements of what's going to be coming up with their own animated projects. These include, of course, the Amazing Digital Circus, in which they did reveal when the final episodes are going to be coming out, in which one shall be released in December, and I do believe another is going to be coming out in March of 2026. I believe they might have talked also a little bit about Knights of Guinevere, considering that has also been released recently, or at least its pilot, as well as some of its other cartoons, such as Murder Drones and The Gaslight District. But the biggest announcement that they put out there is not in relation to any of their shows, or even with their bigger ones, like with the Amazing Digital Circus. Instead, it's actually in regards to a new series that they themselves are not creating, but they're going to help out to go and create. And this actually turns out to be one of the biggest names in indie YouTube animation. So without further ado, folks, yes, after a long time, after a few years of hoping that it could finally happen, that dream is now coming true, and we are now going to get a Lackadaisy series. Yes, Glitch Productions has officially announced that they are teaming up with the creators Tracy J. Butler and Fable Siegel in order to make a full animated series of Lackadaisy. Specifically, that they are going to be making 6 22-minute episodes, in which I will go and read you a little bit from my source here on Animation Magazine, as it states right over here. In partnership with Glitch Productions and external partners, the talented team behind Lackadaisy will expand the series to 6 22-minute episodes, aligning with Butler's original vision while allowing the team to keep full creative control of the project. The project's expansion also welcomes Olin Rogers, the creator of Final Space, as development executive. And I do see there are some people wondering, well, what is Lackadaisy? Well, for those of you who don't know, I'll just go and read you this part here, in which it states, based on the acclaimed comic and popular pilot, the adult-targeted series follows a band of eccentric, anthropomorphic cats possessed of nostalgia and former glory, as they fend off violent rivals, scheme, and make sacrifices in an effort to bring their struggling speakeasy back to life. Now, one thing that it is important to note is that this is not going to be a Glitch production. Again, this is not Glitch Productions actually working on this thing entirely. Instead, this is actually going to be something that is part of a new division within the company called Glitch Presents, to which I will go and read you this part here, in which it states, Lackadaisy is the first Glitch production project under the brand new label Glitch Presents, which was established to support groundbreaking creators and their teams, connecting them with the third-party funding required to create shows to the fullest extent of their creative vision, then distributing this to otherwise inaccessible platforms. Outside of the Glitch Presents banner, shows considered Glitch originals like the Amazing Digital Circus and Knights of Guinevere will remain fully self-funded and will continue to release for free YouTube first. We also got a quote here coming from the CEO of Glitch Productions, Kevin Lerdwichagul, I think that's how you pronounce his name, in which he states over here, I am beyond thrilled to announce that Glitch is officially partnering with the insanely talented folks behind Lackadaisy to bring you the full animated series. I've been talking with Tracy and Fable since the pilot and their backer kit launch, and I've seen firsthand the passion and effort they've been pouring into this show. Watching it all take shape has been incredible, and when I realized that there was a chance for Glitch to help expand their planned 5 11-minute episodes into 6 full 22-minute episodes, closer to Tracy's original vision, I reached out immediately. They didn't hesitate. They said yes. So yes, after all these years, we are finally getting that long anticipated Lackadaisy series. And it's funny because when it comes to Lackadaisy, that feels like it's one of the biggest names in terms of indie YouTube animation. Like whenever you would go on social media and you see online personalities or you see other cartoon reviewers discuss about indie animation, that's like one of the three names that often gets popped up. You got Vivzy Pop with her works with Hell of a Boss and Has Been Hotel. Then you also got Glitch Productions with The Amazing Digital Circus. And then you also got Lackadaisy. I mean, maybe there are a few others that would go and be mentioned as well, such as Monkey Wrench, for example, but generally it's from those three that you would often hear again and again and again, especially when discussing about indie animation, which for me personally, I do feel like there is a little bit of toxicity in there because what's on the internet and what's on YouTube in terms of indie animation, that does not fully represent what true indie animation is. That only represents like a tiny fraction compared to what actually is out there in terms of movies, in terms of shorts, even in terms of series and stuff like that. And they don't even get like a fraction of the attention that people would go and regularly give to the works of Glitch Productions and Vivzy Pop and stuff like that. So honestly, but then again, I'll just say that's like a whole other subject altogether in terms of how the cartoon community actually views indie animation. But to go back into the subject of Lackadaisy, people always talk about that when discussing about indie animation. And a big part of it is because of the highly successful pilot that came out. In fact, the whole campaign of trying to bring Lackadaisy onto animation has been one of the biggest success stories in terms of indie YouTube animation, where it had an extremely successful crowdfunding campaign down to the point where it got around $2 million in total. And even the pilot that came out was a viral sensation. And for the longest time, they would go and promise that they would go and turn Lackadaisy into a full-on series. That was like the big goal of what they wanted to do with that show. The only problem, however, is that they faced possibly the biggest obstacle in terms of animation. Like, this is honestly the most forgotten common fact about producing animation, that when it was time to actually make those dreams a reality with Lackadaisy, they kind of forgot that they have to face that as well. And that is the fact that animation is expensive as F. And that's the big issue with Lackadaisy. That's the biggest reason why we never had a massive series of Lackadaisy. It's mainly because there hasn't been anything that's mainly because, like, with $2 million, that's not enough to actually go and make a full-on series, or let alone like a well-animated, like very smooth and amazing looking series. That's the thing. Again, animation is just expensive in general. And the thing is that if you're hoping that you could go and make a series just on that $2 million budget, then you would have to make some massive sacrifices in the quality. You would have to do something that would end up looking like Hanna-Barbera instead of what we got with the Lackadaisy pilot and with some of the shorts that came afterwards. And trust me, I've seen what they have done with Lackadaisy. It is beautiful. It is inspiring. It is fantastic. The team did a phenomenal job, but that kind of effort also requires a lot of money. And that's the thing with Lackadaisy. It has huge ambitions, but those ambitions really do come with a price, which is why they would have to go and, for a lack of a better term, I don't mean to make it sound like a bad thing, but it's kind of the reason why Lackadaisy would go and for a few years completely sell out. Like, not only like opening things like still have that crowdfunding campaign and have stuff like Patreon. But on top of that, they would have to sell like tons of merchandise just to go and keep the payroll rolling and to make sure that they have some kind of revenue so that they could have some money to keep the spirit of Lackadaisy going, and to even spend some of that to keep its relevancy alive by making those animated shorts, like to keep mentioning that, hey, we're still making Lackadaisy. Lackadaisy is still a thing. We have this little thing to give you like a small appetizer in the meantime, in case you're still hungry for that series. So for a while, they've pretty much just been chasing this dream of trying to make that Lackadaisy series, but with $2 million, it wouldn't even cover a fraction of what they wanted to do and to like do justice to the idea that they have in their heads to fully turn Lackadaisy into a series. It wasn't until Glitch Productions stepped in in order to go and actually make that dream happen, considering that now Glitch Productions has become bigger and even better, where it's not just from the tremendous, phenomenal success that they have gotten with the Amazing Digital Circus, but now they have fully established themselves as a major animation studio, even bigger than what could be considered regular in the indie scene, where now they're making several successful stuff, including what we have just seen with Knights of Guinevere, collaborating with major names in the animation industry, such as Dana Terrence. And from there, now they're starting to expand and looking for other ways of bringing animation to their audience, including opening up that Glitch Presents. So from there, they are now, like with Glitch Productions being massively successful, they have the financial needs to go and help out other shows in order to become a reality. And that is exactly what they have done with Lackadaisy, where they saw that for the longest time, Lackadaisy has been trying again and again and again in order to become a major animated series. But now, thanks to the help of Glitch Productions, they can actually make that dream a reality, and a true reality. They don't have to do any compromises to make like, oh, we're just going to do 5 episodes and they'll be 11 minutes long. No. You want to do 6 episodes and that they're 22 minutes long, we're going to go and actually make that. So I can definitely see that this is something that for animation fans, they'll be absolutely hyped up for, especially with, again, that Lackadaisy has often been one of the biggest names in indie YouTube animation, and that people would be bringing that up and bring up the pilot as much as they would with the Amazing Digital Circus or Has Been Hotel or Hell of a Boss, or even right now with Knights of Guinevere. Then at that point, I could see how there is a lot of anticipation to see what's going to be in store with Lackadaisy. Now, the only challenge, however, is that, okay, now they got the financial needs to make that Lackadaisy series. Now the next step is going to be in regards of time, because we don't have a confirmation on when the first episode is going to be coming out. Maybe it will be pretty soon. Maybe it's going to be sometime in 2026, or maybe they have different plans on how they want to go and distribute it, and we won't be seeing this until like 2027 or maybe 2028. But what we do know right now is that thanks to Glitch Productions, they are going to be bringing Lackadaisy to life. Now, with that said, I would like to pass this on to the chat wall, and I'd like to ask you all, what do you all think of Lackadaisy now finally getting its own animated series? And especially if you are a fan of either the webcomics or the animated pilot, I would love to know your thoughts on that. All right, so let's see what we got here. Now, you have no idea how long I've waited for episodes to be out. I watched the pilot when it was the talk of the town back in 2023. I absolutely adore it, I could tell you. I jumped for joy that finally we're getting a full series. I'll definitely watch it on day one when the new episodes are out. Huge W for Glitch actually helping out with the production and funding. All right. Let's see now. From the other news today, this is possibly the best one to hear yet. But I remember when it popped on YouTube, and I'll say I was hooked right into it. Even if it's just a short, it really carries the feel of a film, even if it goes crazy in the end. It was awesome, and I was hoping for more, even if it took me like, I don't know, almost a decade to happen. I understand the issue, believe me. I know animation is time-consuming and expensive material, but with perseverance, it makes it worth it. Exactly. With perseverance, it could go absolutely far. Let's see. Well, we don't necessarily have a lot of comments here, so I think I'll just read one more, and then we'll be good to go. Or you know what? We'll go and read two of these. Okay, I'll read two now. Glitch Productions is making a huge impact in the indie animation scene. I recently finished The Owl House on Disney Plus, and I'm loving it. Now I am excited for Dana's next project, Knights of Guinevere. And the best way to support it is for a full season is to buy their merchandise, including the plushies. Also, I'm happy that Glitch is now supporting Lackadaisy and looking forward to the series. On the other news, the ceasefire agreement is happening. Follow on land, Palestine, and another Khaled Badoun. Yeah, I did hear that apparently there might be a ceasefire going on, but you know, I don't know. With how things have been lately, it's like, I'll see it when I believe it, okay? Like, yeah, maybe they'll be asking for peace now, but is it actually going to happen? I'm going to wait, you know? Like, honestly, I think, like, we'll wait until we can confirm, like, when 2026 starts, is there actual peace or not? We'll see. Anyways, let's see what other comments here now. I'll be honest, I've never really heard of Lackadaisy myself, but honestly, I'm happy that Glitch Productions is helping with this. They've managed to help create some of the biggest indie animation in recent years, so I definitely see this having a lot of potential. Unfortunately, I'm wondering if people will use this as a tool to continue slamming Disney. I hope not. Oh boy, honestly, I don't know if that's going to really happen, but again, we're just gonna have to go and wait and see when that does actually occur. So with that said, congratulations to the Lackadaisy team to finally make that series actually happen, and I wish them the best of luck when it comes to making those 6 22-minute episodes. And with that said, that should do it for today's episode of AniMat's Crazy Cartoon Cast. Thank you all so much for watching me on this episode, and thank you all for joining me on this as well. And don't forget to stay tuned for more crazy news that may happen in the world of entertainment and animation, just like what we have seen right over here. And if you have enjoyed what you have experienced with AniMat's Crazy Cartoon Cast, then don't forget to go and subscribe to me on my Twitch channel on AniMat Live or on the AniMat's Crazy Cartoon Cast YouTube channel. At the same time, if you guys are listening to this to whatever podcast service you're listening to, whether it be on Spotify, Apple, Amazon, and more, then don't forget to go and follow me there as well. And with that said and done, I would like to say thank you all so much for joining me on this. Thank you all so much for listening and watching. And until next time, see you later, dudes.